This outline is like your contract with the college for what you're going to get out of this course. And so it's important that you know the details of it. So it's worth printing it off and having it available through this course, but I'll highlight the important points right now. So you're in SLPA 212. This is my email address, bshindle@mhc.ab.ca. I do not have an office on campus. I do not have regular hours on campus, but I will respond to emails within 48 hours, but probably a lot more quickly than that because I check my email frequently. And if it's just a quick question, I can address it no matter what I'm doing throughout my day. But you can also book meetings with me through Blackboard Collaborate. We can have phone conversations. I'm available to you to support you through this course. This course is 60 hours, and there are a couple of prerequisites. It's your first course in the SLPA it's in the SLPA program. The learning resources that you'll use throughout this course, there's links here to where you can purchase those resources, but there are two textbooks, one by Dwight called Here's How to Do Therapy, Hands-on Core Skills in Speech-Language Pathology. And included with that textbook, there's actually a video series that illustrates some of the therapy approaches and therapy techniques that you'll be learning throughout this course. So it's got a lot of good resources available. And then the second one is by Ostergren and Benta Wilson. It's called Speech Language Pathology Assistance, a resource manual. And then this third resource is by Weitzman and Greenberg, and it's called Learning Language and Loving It, a guide to promoting children's social language and literacy development in early childhood settings. So this is created by the Hannon Foundation, which is a program that trains speech pathologists and assistants and a variety of different parents as well on how to support children with language disorders, language delays. And so it's used routinely in the speech language pathology world, whereas the others are textbooks. This one is a resource that you'll use throughout your career likely. There's a couple of additional required resources. There's a fluidity screening protocol. So this is an assessment or a screening form that can be purchased through the bookstore, but it can also, there is an option for digital access. And so if you have trouble finding that information, let me know, but there is information on how to access it on Blackboard. And then also you'll be expected to submit a couple of videos throughout this course. And so you'll need some way to video yourself and then also to be able to upload to YouTube or Blackboard Collaborate. There's some descriptions about the technology that is required to successfully complete this online course as well. And then there are 8 course objectives or learning outcomes. I'm not going to go through them in detail because you can read those yourself, and because until you get into the content, they're not very meaningful. But we have worked hard to keep that a short, clear list of learning outcomes because it's important that this course be focused and be really relevant to your future career. And then there's some detailed course content, topics and sequences that will come up as well. You'll see those in Blackboard broken down and how you're going to get that information. Now, as far as instructional techniques, this is an online course. So although there are videos built into the course, a lot of it is self-guided learning where you'll have activities to complete. You'll have readings to do, and it is self-paced, although the modules will only open as needed to get you through the course. So you won't be able to just work ahead and finish the course really quickly. Part of the reason for that is that we want you interacting with your classmates through the discussion boards and not working too far ahead so that we are still learning together, although it is at your pace. We do want some interaction with other students and with myself as well. So your grades are going to be made up of lab work and assignments. There are quizzes in each module. You'll have a midterm exam that's broken into 2 parts. There's a lab exam component, which is actually planning a lesson, implementing a lesson, videoing it, and then evaluating your performance. And then there's also a written midterm exam that'll be done online, of course. And then the final exam is much the same format where there's a lab component where you'll do a video, an interaction with a child in this case, and then provide a reflection on that as well. And then there's also that written component. And then finally, your professional behaviors, you get a grade for professional behaviors because this is such an important part of being a speech language pathology assistant is learning to interact professionally with peers, with colleagues, with superiors, with all people of all different backgrounds. So this grade is going to be made up with interaction or communication with your instructor, which is why early in the course you're expected to book a video or telephone chat with me to be able to set up that relationship from the get-go. Your completion of coursework in a professional manner, making sure it's professionally done, making sure it's submitted on time, that kind of thing. Your appropriate and professional approach, your attitudes and behaviors, discussion board posts where you're interacting with your classmates and with myself, and then completion of your immunization profile, which is important for your practicums. And then at the end of this course, you'll be expected to write a reflection on your feelings about how you did with professional behaviors. So all of that contributes to that professional's behaviors grade. And then this next table just breaks down the major assessments and how they're graded. So the lab work and assignments were 15%, quizzes are worth 10%. Your midterm exam, both the lab and the written, combined to make up 30% of your grade. Your lab and final exam make up 35% of your grade. And then that professional behaviors makes up 10% of your grade. So there's no final exam set for this course. You'll see that in Blackboard, you'll see that the exam opens and closes on dates of my choosing. And then there's just a couple of college policies regarding late assignments or missed exams, and a comment about academic dishonesty, and then your grading scheme, which is the same for all courses in the college. As far as accessibility goes, if you need accommodations, you'll be required to seek those accommodations through accessibility services. And so once you submit accommodations or request accommodations through accessibility services, they'll let you know what accommodations are required, and I'll make sure that I honor those. Just a comment about mental health and the importance of seeking support and being aware of your mental health as you go through university or as you go through college. That's definitely an area that can suffer. As far as your responsibilities, there's a responsibility for professional commitment, and then there's a student rights and responsibilities and academic policies as well. And that is it for the course outline. So like I said, there's some information in there that you'll have seen in other courses and some course-specific information, but make sure that you have a read and you're aware of the expectations for this course.